Okay, excellent. Recording has started. So yeah, welcome everyone. And this is going to be a journey, a visual journey with a narrated visual journey from my trip and also Michelle's trip to Nepal. And I'm going to just go ahead and mute everybody here as we get started as well. And I was just explaining before I hit the record button, this is like it's a chronological journey starting at the very start. And we're going to just walk you like essentially day by day through our trip to Nepal. And we kind of call it a trip. We also call it a pilgrimage too, because we visited a lot of different holy sites from our tradition. You know, this Joy of Living is a secular group, but its kind of foundation is the rich tradition of Tibetan Buddhism. So you'll be experiencing a lot of that on this journey. And without delay, and my co-pilot tonight is Michelle, as I mentioned there. Without delay, I'm going to screen share and kick us off with the first slide. Can everybody see that okay? Yeah, awesome. So this was like we drove from St. Augustine, so a couple of hours down to Orlando. Our flight was leaving at 7 o'clock the next morning, so we had to get up at 3:30 in the morning to drop our car off and then make it to the airport. So we have plenty of time. So we're delighted that we rented a hotel room the night before. And then the first obstacle that we had on our journey was we only had 2 hours in Chicago, and we flew into Terminal 1, and then we had to actually leave the secure area of the airport. We only had 2 hours and go back through security and come back in again at Terminal 5. So that there was a little anxiety about that, and I tried to do as much research on the internet as I could. But we finally found the train. It took some time, and that was us on the train going from Terminal 1 to Terminal 5. And there, we made it to the gate, so you can look at the look on our faces. We're lighter, you know, we got like smiles on our faces. And then this is Michelle on the airplane. And this is a 15 and a half hour flight from Chicago to Delhi. And we're flying Air India. And I called this aircraft, my nickname for it was the 1970s Rust Bucket. There was literally springs coming out of the back of the chair. And none of the video screens worked on the flight, which is wonderful, because it gave us the opportunity. We were going on retreat, and it gave us the opportunity to practice. So we were reading the text. We went on 3 different retreats, and the third one was called Flight of the Garuda, and we had that text with us, and we would read it for a little while, and then we would just meditate on the airplane. And it was actually quite delightful, and I enjoyed it. And the Rust Bucket was landed in Delhi too, and stayed together. So we made it to India, and this was one of the first things we saw, and I just thought it was quite a beautiful image. And then that's Michelle and I at the gate, ready to get on our flight to Kathmandu, and we've got like Indian TV in the background as a situational cue. And then the next aircraft was a lot nicer. And this was Air India again from Delhi to Nepal, and it was like brand new. And the service is absolutely wonderful. So that's one thing I have to add. Like, the service was absolutely top notch. It's just they still have some older aircraft, and I'm delighted they're still using them too. And here we are. We landed on the ground in Kathmandu. And there's no pulling up to a gate and an arm coming out and you walk straight into the airport. This is old school. You're out in the middle of the runway, and then they're putting you through, like right away, they put you through like a security check, and it's kind of mayhem. It's just this like truck, a box, and there's people in there just searching everything, going wild, tearing stuff apart, and you're like, okay, we've already been through 5 security checks in Delhi, and then the minute you land, you've got another one. But at the same time, we really appreciate the security. And then this is as we enter into the airport. And the first thing we're greeted by is Buddha. And you know, one thing about Delhi, one thing about Kathmandu, like 80% of Kathmandu is Hindu and 8% is Buddhism, but it really has a flavor of Buddhism everywhere you go. Like there's just monasteries all over the place, and there's just these beautiful kind of stupas, and just really, it's kind of submerged in it. So it really surprised me when I read that stat that only 8% is actually Buddhism. And also, I believe they just get a lot of Buddhist tourism as well, like people going there on retreat and going on pilgrimage.
But the Hinduism and the Buddhist traditions are interweaved. Like everywhere you go, if you go to a Buddhist or a Hindu temple, you'll also see Buddha structure, Buddha statues and things like that, and vice versa. If you go into a Buddhist site, you're also going to see Hindu. They're just intertwined.
Yeah.
It's beautiful that way.
Yeah, that was a beautiful point, Michelle. And they are like, like they just, and like in India, like there's even another element we saw in India, like a lot of times there was Christian, Hindu and Buddhism all mixed together as well. And, what's beautiful about that is all these religions can coexist with each other, and as Michelle said, be intertwined as well. Christian households in India will still put like a Hindu shrine up on their roof because it's part of their lineage, a part of their tradition. Thank you for that, Michelle. And here we jumped into the taxi, and one of the things we noticed right away was like things have got very modern in Kathmandu. So there was all kind of modern shops and restaurants around us. The last time we were there was 8 years ago, just shortly after the earthquake, and it was quite a different place. A lot of times in Kathmandu, you're giving the taxi driver instructions where to go. And, thank goodness for Google Maps, because otherwise they're lost half the time. So you're just sitting there and you're like, okay, turn left here, turn there, or show them the map or whatever. So it's really interesting that way. So we made it to our guest house, and it's called Swayambhu View Guest House. Swayambhu is the second largest stupa in Kathmandu. And here is an image of it taken out of our bedroom window from the guest house that we were staying in. So we had a really precious view out the window. And this is the first video. Oh, there's sound. And you just always hear dogs barking, you get used to it pretty quickly. And the dogs are very friendly too. Like we never met a cross dog like the whole time we were there. But this is just a panoramic view from the rooftop of our guest house.
And he says that because there are a lot of cross dogs in India.
There are. I had to throw rocks at dogs while we were in India, and not to hit them, but just to scare them away. And then, so this is day one that we're there. And this is the walk up to Swayambhu Stupa. And it's like nothing's easy. I'll tell you what, that's another thing. Like there's 350 steps to get up to the top of this thing. And it's hot. And it's also a little polluted too. So your lungs are kind of going, oh yeah, this is kind of tough. Everywhere you go, there's prayer flags, and it's beautiful because prayer flags have prayers on them. And when the wind blows, the prayers just go out to the people that need them, or just go out to the world in general. So it's a really beautiful notion. And I really believe in the power of prayer as well. So, yeah. And then this is a prayer wheel. So they don't only have prayer flags, they pray, but this is a big prayer wheel. It's in a house, you know, and they have these everywhere too. It's crazy. And then I have a little video. You can hear me huffing and puffing already. I'm like, but what I was reciting there was Mani Padme Hum, and what that essentially is, it's a prayer to relieve all beings from the 6 realms, and the 6 realms are the hell realm, the hungry ghost realm, the animal realm, and they're states of mind as well. So essentially, they're not places that you go to, they're experiences that we have in our mind. So hell realm, we know what that's like, to get angry or mad or see red. Hungry ghost is having an insatiable appetite, but you can't, you know, like it's a creature that has a really small neck, but they've got a big mouth, so they can never satisfy their hunger. And then the animal realm is just based on ignorance. And we all know, like, our animalistic, like when we're in that kind of survival mode, I guess. And then the human realm, and that's considered the desire realm. And it's that we kind of have this clinging. In a way, again, it's like, you know, like we're trying to fulfill, you know, we're always trying to fulfill. I look at it like a void or something like that, you know. But spiritual path usually fills that for you, which is the wonderful thing, no matter what the tradition is. And then there's the hungry, or the demigod realm, or warring god. And that's a god that has everything that they need, but they're always fighting people off. They think somebody's always going to come and take it from them. And then there's the god realm, which is just that, you know, all your needs are met. And we can experience, some people experience that in life. They just have everything that they need. But the unfortunate aspect of having everything you need is there's usually not much growth that takes place then, because there isn't a motivation, you know. So a little bit about that. And then this is the outside of the prayer wheelhouse. And then this is, they call them mani stones. So a lot of times they have Om Mani Padme Hum carved in them. That's what most Tibetans, like, they call it like ma or grandma and grandpa tradition. And they kind of just go around, you know, reciting mantra, like pretty much all day long. And another, like the meaning for mantra, or a translation of it, is mind protection. So especially in this day and age where there's kind of heightened neuroses, anxiety, you know, depression, like a mantra can help protect you from those particular states of mind. And then, like, there's monkeys everywhere. And Swayambhu Stupa is also called the monkey stupa too. But everywhere you go, there's these monkeys, and they're the same monkeys that are down in Silver Springs. Or in fact, Jane and Sean, members of our community, have these monkeys in the trees close by their house here in St. Augustine. So Reese monkeys, is that correct, Michelle? Yeah. And there's another picture. They like to take care of each other. If you watch them, they really, you know, it's quite delightful. And then this is a bird. I'm sorry, the picture isn't very clear, but I think it's called a barbet. But it's just a beautiful looking bird. And we did, you know, Michelle and I are bird watchers as well, so we did keep our eyes out. We had our Merlin app on there, and we were listening for birds, and we did it a lot up at the monastery as well. And then this is, as we're getting closer to the stupa, and this particular deity is Manjushri, and Manjushri is the Bodhisattva of wisdom, and Manjushri is holding a sword, and that's the sword of prajna, or discriminating awareness wisdom, and that sword cuts to the root of ego clinging. Not ego, we all need ego, but when ego tends to cling. And then with Manjushri, you can have coffee, tea, or a lassi or Pepsi as well. And then, like, so we're getting real close to the stupa right now. And this has all been rebuilt since we were there in 2016. Like, you can tell that building's brand new there, because most of this was destroyed by the 2015 earthquake. And there's Michelle and I. That's we've got lots of selfies throughout here, just to show you that we were actually there. And then you have all the gifts, like there's so many gift stores around these monuments as well, and just some really beautiful art. And then this is Swayambhu Stupa, so it's beautiful. And it dates back to, I think people said like 500, so it's about 1500 years old. And that's another picture of it. And then, like, what you do when you go to a stupa is you turn left and you circumambulate 3 times, or kora is the Tibetan word for circumambulating. And it's supposed to bring good luck and actually speed up your path to enlightenment. And as Michelle is saying, like, you can notice a lot of, like, there's like, you know, Hindu gods in these little cages here. And, you know, so both of the traditions kind of are mixed side by side with each other. It's quite beautiful. And then you got some monkeys, they're getting some blessings as well. And lots of pigeons too. And the pigeons hang around these pilgrimage sites because they get fed. It's just part of the tradition to feed the birds. And then lots of fires, like little pujas, and you know, so that would be part of the Hindu tradition. And then loads of little stupas everywhere you look too. And a lot of times these are like, you know, well-renowned meditation masters that passed away, and their students come and build a stupa to commemorate them. And there was actually one that we heard about here that we were looking for, that was the author of the third retreat text, Flight of the Garuda, but we never did find it. And we even went to a monastery and asked the monks there, and so we gave it a good try. And then this is just a kind of half panoramic view, still from the Swayambhu Stupa, just looking out over Kathmandu. And this is actually a relatively nice day, and this is the rainy season. So, and then that's just a more detailed shot. I just love these pictures of the houses and all the different colors and shapes, and then this, still in the same location from Swayambhu Stupa, this is Tergar Osel Ling. So this is Mingyur Rinpoche's monastery, and you can see it. So Rinpoche told me this actually over lunch, because, you know, we had a casual conversation, and he said like that his father would he'd come down from Nagi Gompa, which was the nunnery that he spent a lot of his time practicing in. Tulku Urygen was his father's name. And he would come down to Swayambhu Stupa, and he would circumambulate that. And while he was walking around it, he would see this hilltop over there in the distance, and he used to say that would be a great place to have a monastery. So that was kind of the birth of this monastery right here. And it's like, it's nearly all brand new too, you know, because it was heavily damaged in the 2015 earthquake, and it's also been expanded. They're always, you know, it's just getting bigger. There's just more monks there, and then more Western students coming to study there as well. And then this is another just selfie of Michelle and I at Swayambhu. And then this is this was our favorite little restaurant, and it was called Korlam, and it was run by a Tibetan couple. And we just found, like, the menu wasn't extensive, but we found the place was just so clean, and they were so delightful. And yeah, it was really just a lovely spot. And then this is right in front of our guest house, and it's called Bodhisattva School. So they get them young there, and they start training them to be bodhisattvas. And bodhisattva is an awake being, or a being like that just really has unlimited compassion for all other beings. And they have Muskovies in Kathmandu. Imagine that. We got them all over here in Florida, and they have them there too. So I had to share that picture. This is on the way up to Tergar Osel Ling. So the first day we had the first half of the day to ourselves, but the second half of the day we started our first retreat, and we decided we were going to walk up. And back over here, that's Swayambhu Stupa where we just were. And then we're looking from the Tergar Osel Ling hill back across to that. But the hike up was brutal. I mean, it really was. And getting in the night before, my heart rate was 153 when we stopped on one of the breaks. And I was just like, hey, we were going to walk. And we were walking 5 miles a day before we left. And we just said, hey, no way, you know. So we finally made it up there, and our heart rate settled a little bit. And then we just started taking in a little bit of, I guess, the essence of the environment, which is very peaceful. And I'll just say, I don't want to say too much about it yet, but like, it's just, there's something special about it. And then this is going inside into the main meditation hall or shrine room, and it's still being built. Behind this yellow curtain, there's huge Buddhist statues that are like 20 or 30 feet tall. But it's a giant room. The beauty of it's very bright too. It's just so bright. And here's just another quick shot of the room. And I think we had 700 people in there at one time. And sitting back over here in the corner is Paul McGowan from the movie Rinpoche's movie about his 4.5-year retreat. So In Love with the World. Or Wandering but Not Lost. That's what it was called. Sorry, I had to think there for a second. But he did the video, and here's Rinpoche, first time coming in. And here what he's bowing to is the teacher's chair. And that's to kind of like level, so it's not him that's important, necessarily. And you see the teacher's chair is pretty opulent as well. But what the most important thing here in this environment is the teachings. So, and Rinpoche is really just a conduit of the teachings, and he's just fortunate enough to be in the position that he can deliver them. So there's a lot of reverence paid to the seat that he takes.
He said he was prostrating to the Dharma.
Yeah.
And that, and he did that every time he walked into that room. Every time he came up to teach, he would do prostrations to the chair.
Yeah, it was quite beautiful. Thank you, Michelle.
I mean, I saw that and I just was like prostrating pretty easily as soon as I saw that. I was like, wow.
We all did it 3 times too, like the whole room did as well.
It was kind of like color,
And then this is Rinpoche teaching,
immediately met.
and it just kind of giving you an idea. When he teaches, the room fills. During the other sessions, sometimes it was only half full. And Michelle and I were going to skip out on the mornings, you know, to take care of ourselves, but we engaged fully in all the offerings. I was quite amazed at the actual level of energy I had when I was there.
There are 4 great different lineage holders in the 4.
Okay. Oops. Oh, I'm sorry, I'll just go back one. This is just, you know, on our walk on the way up there, and just, you know, as I was talking about, there's like just little stupas everywhere, and it was just beautiful. And there's a lady that was in front of this, and you can light candles too. So you pray for people that might need some extra blessings. And then this is the journey. This is actually really mellow, but this is part of the journey on the way up there. So we learned on day 1, like, we're not walking up there again. So from then on, we took taxis up. And that was always interesting, because some of them had quite a hard time making it up, or you'd come across these crazy traffic jams, you know. And it's signposted, like there's a signpost right here actually that says Tergar, and most of them knew the way there. And then this is just one of the gardens that's up there at Tergar Osel Ling, and just details of it right there, but it's quite beautiful. And then this is kind of our tea area while we were on retreat right there. But you can see, like, it's, you know, part of it's still being built, and, you know, but it just, the detail and everything else was absolutely gorgeous. And then this was the main Kempo Gourmet, and he just spent like several months in Wisconsin, and that's his translator there. And then this is Kunzun Palmo, and some of you might know her. She's my mentor in the meditation teacher training program, and it was just so delightful to meet her. We had such a heart connection. It was just beyond words. This is the monks in debate. Every day, 2 or 3 times a day. And you got all of us watching. And what they're doing, like, a lot of it is like they're memorizing, but also they're arguing the finer points of the Dharma or of the Buddhist teachings as well. And then this is the front, I believe, of the monastery as well. So you can see the bottom part there is still being built. And then this is just another view of Kathmandu from the monastery. You can kind of tell, like the haze you're seeing there is pretty much pollution. And this is a low pollution day, but a lot of days the air quality was about 150 or higher. It's getting better though. Like our taxis that we got down from the mountain are electric, and a lot of the cars new cars scooting around Kathmandu are electric now, because it makes sense. Electricity is dirt cheap there. It's nearly all electricity. The cars cost about the same, and gasoline is like $8 a gallon. So it just makes pure financial sense. So that's the best way to change things, you know, to start clearing up the environment, is when it just makes economic sense at the same time. And then just more detailed pictures, and you just see all these houses. And the population of the city, for those that are interested, it's only 1.5 million. But, there's no real high rise. Everything is just like packed in. I mean, everywhere. It's so tight. And then again, and then this was a sunset. You had these are black kites, and there was lots of them all over the place. They're beautiful to watch. And another one that's just a part of the monastery and the sun going down. And then this was actually right in front of here is where we got our taxis every morning. So this was part of our morning walk to get our taxi. And you've got Avalokiteshvara, or the Bodhisattva of Compassion. You've got the historical Buddha right here. And then Padmasambhava right there. And the Tibetans consider Padmasambhava to be the second Buddha. And he firmly planted Buddhism into Tibet around 700. And the second retreat we intended there is Dorje, was called Dorje Drolo. And Dorje Drolo is actually a wrathful manifestation of Padmasambhava. He takes on different manifestations. And the reason Rinpoche is teaching that is because sometimes when you're like really sick, you need stronger medicine. So it's just because we're in a time now of polarization and just really kind of, we've got most physical things that we need, but we're more kind of neurotic and we're more stressed out, and we have more anxiety kind of than we ever have had. So strong medicine for, And then this is a stupa right there by those statues. And then this is a detail up at the monastery, just to show you how much like detail and everything. And then I just thought it was cool. There was a pigeon sitting on top of it. And then just another shot of monks debating. And it was just really wonderful to watch this, because this has been going on for like hundreds of years, and just to witness the tradition alive. And then the dogs, like just laying down sleeping with all that activity going on around them. I just thought that was hilarious too. That's because they're up all night long barking. Like, I mean, the minute the sun goes down, they start barking and they don't quit until they keel over, and then they just sleep until the sun goes down again. And then this is, up this embankment here is where we have our tea, and they put out snacks and stuff for us. It's lovely. And then this is one of my favorite pictures that I took from the monastery. And Michelle actually pointed out this spot for me. I saw she had a similar photo, and I go, the minute she saw me light up when I saw the photo, she goes, "I'll show you where I took it." And she brought me there and she showed me. And then I went and like many times I went back to it to make sure like I found a time that the light was just right. And then this is walking around the main meditation hall. So it's just to kind of give you a taste of like all the detail, like on the pillars and up on the ceiling and like all the carvings and then when you get in close, like the detail is just absolutely beautiful, It's just a real work of art everywhere you go. And that's the tea area again. And it was beautiful too, because our guest house, had filtered water for us, and also the monastery had filtered water as well. So we never bought any. We didn't, accumulate any plastic bottles while we were there. We just brought our 32-ounce refillable water jugs, and we would just fill them up, down below at the guest house. And then when we were up here, it just made us feel good. Because you can go through a lot of water bottles when you can't drink the water. We'd all leave our shoes outside. Sometimes at night, it was interesting trying to find your shoes. And And it's one, you know, they had chairs all around it too. So you could come out and just sit outside and just kind of take in the views and watch the birds. And but this is the whole, like, so this is exactly, it took me 3 minutes to walk around the outside of the whole building. So I wanted to give you a kind of full taste of what it was like to walk around. You can look out there again, rainy season, blue sky, you know.
There is quite a bit of rain going on right now there, though.
Yeah.
It was flooding a little bit recently.
Yeah, I think it was saving it all to drop it all at the same time. And then this is the front of the monastery, looking in the front door. And that had like registration and you know, things for sale, like the t-shirt that I have on right now. It says loving kindness on it, and there's a calligraphy, if you can see that, of Rinpoche. But I can show you that later here too. But that'll give you, like, look at all that artwork up above, you know. And they have tiger, lion, Garuda, dragon. They're the 4 deities that are carved into that. And it's tiger is kind of like discernment. Lion is like joyful, and then Garuda is kind of like wow, and then dragon's just after the wow, like it's kind of the thought-free state that we can experience after like wow, and that's the mind of enlightenment, or at least a taste of it. And then these were posters that Jane made, like Jane McCarthy. So I just wanted to put those in there so she could see them. And she's part of our local St. Augustine Sangha. And then here is Kunzan La again, and Anya. And Anya is a Tergar facilitator in Scotland. And she's also a surgeon as well. I think she actually operates on kids. So she's another wonderful part of the community. Okay, so fast forward here, we're going up to Nagi Gompa. So we got a taxi over there, and it was quite a journey just to find the place. And it's a national park. So this was a hike that we went on, and we had to get a guide. And here's a friend of ours that was staying in the guest house with us. And Michelle and I were all prepared. We brought like hiking poles with us and everything, you know. And then right at the end of an hour and a half, then there's steps, like, and there's a lot of them. I actually felt it. But our guide he was wonderful. And he pointed out all sorts of birds to us too. I was out taking a pee in the woods on the way up, you know, and there's this most beautiful bird that I've ever seen, like lands, like right in front of my eyes on the branch in front of me while I'm taking a pee. And I yell out, you know, like, wow, look at this. And it flew away. So nobody else got to see it, but they probably didn't want to see it at that point anyway. And like, so we're getting close to Nagi Gompa, and even the water spigot is a stupa. You know, it's just beautiful. Like there was this garden there. I don't have a photograph of that, but they grew all the flowers, you know, that they put phases in the monastery. It was gorgeous. And then here's the monastery. And for those that are maybe familiar with that, Tim Olmsted, and he talks about the window that Tulku Urygen looked out, you know, and I believe that was it right there. And then, you know, and of course they have prayer flags, and there's the front door. But you know what, like when we got up there, like this was the good thing about having a guide. The front door was locked. So we would have gone all the way up there and we went, oh, it's locked. Well, it's nice to come up here and see it, but we'll, you know, turn around and go back. And he's like, follow me. And he brought us in the back door. And he brought us straight upstairs. And this lady, I don't know if her title is correct, but she's the abbot of the nunnery. And she was just the most gorgeous lady, like ever. Like, she's like, right away, she's like, you want bananas, you want coffee, you know, and I saw the coffee was like the coffee cups were dripping of water, and I was like, I don't want any coffee, thank you, you know. And then bananas, and then like one lady was there and she goes like, take the banana, you know, it's an offering, you know. But she just you know, she was just an unbelievable motherly figure that just was so welcoming. It just kind of, it blew my mind away a little bit, actually. And so this was Tulku Urchin's meditation room. And we went in there and we meditated for a while. And I was like, you know, I was hesitant to even go on this because we had all these other things planned. But when I went into this room, it was the strongest experience of emotion that I had the whole time I was in Kathmandu. I was completely and utterly overcome with emotion, and like, you know, my eyes just watered up, and I can't explain it, but it was just very, very powerful, you know, and it was very intense. And, you know, yeah, it was just, yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. And that's looking out the window right there. So Tulku Urchin spent a lot of time just kind of looking out the window. And one of the things I think Tim talks about was like, you know, see the stars in the sky. You know, he's talking about awareness, and he's like, see the stars in the sky, hear the dogs barking. Like that's awareness. And there's Michelle sitting in his meditation seat right by the window, and that's a picture of Tulku Urchin right in front there. And that's me doing the same thing. And then this was his bedroom, I believe. Is that correct, Michelle?
It was the other way around.
Oh, okay. The one up top was his bedroom.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
this was his shrine room. Okay. It kind of makes more sense because this room's a little bit more ornate.
Bigger, yeah, bigger, and then there's seats all the way around this room.
Yeah, so he could have an audience, like people could come in and he would teach them in this room and stuff like that. Yeah, makes total sense. And then, I don't know, we were trying to decide whether that was a picture of Mingyur Rinpoche or not. We're not sure though. And then these are just some of the details of the shrine. And then that's me sitting in his meditation seat. And again, there was just some kind of experience sitting in that seat that you just couldn't put into words. You know, and I was only in it for like a very short period of time. And it was, yeah, it was connecting to the lineage, you know. And there's Michelle. And then that's our guide right there. And we're out front. And this is when we're getting ready. Oh, they opened up the front door then first. So we got to go into the main shrine room, which was on the bottom floor. And that was really kind of ornate as well. Here's a picture, kind of the full room. And this is where all the nuns practice together. And that, I believe, is Tara, if not white Tara, because one of Tulku Urchin's main sadhanas was white Tara. And then the Buddha, and this would be one of the Karmapas, which is a part of the unbroken lineage of meditation masters. And that's just a detail of Kathmandu from there. And then this is just a little bit more food. This was a restaurant beside us called Bia. And it was kind of a little bit more Western. And we went there and had breakfast one day. But we missed being down with our Tibetan friends and having simple food, you know. And then this will give you an idea of what it's like driving in traffic in Kathmandu. We're on our way to Parping here. And our taxi driver actually was pretty crazy. it takes an hour to get there, and he got there in 35 minutes. So he took some blind corners that were fairly dodgy. And this is the mellow part. Like you get out of the city and you're in the country, and it's but the roads are all new, you know, so the roads were great. And then this is like, so Padmasambhava, one of those statues that I pointed out earlier on. This is Padmasambhava. He's also known as Guru Rinpoche, and this is his re-enlightenment cave. So we got to go in and sit in the same place that Padmasambhava sat and meditated in 700 years ago. And this was the, just kind of the caretaker of the cave, he was dressed in monk's clothing, and he offered us butter candles to light as an offering. So we lit those and just offered them for world peace and health and just all the good things you could think of. And then Padmasambhava, had kind of command over the phenomenal world a little bit. So, when he put his head up in the cave, like the cave just kind of caved in, excuse the pun, and left an imprint of his head and his hands as well. So this is Michelle putting her head where his head was, and her hands where he had also put his hands. And then that was me doing the same thing. And it was fun doing it too. And then more prayer flags. A lot of times they won't let them get like this, that they actually take them down and burn them. But it just depends on the area and just if it's, well taken care of or not, I guess. And so next we went on to what's called the Vajrayogini temple. And Vajrayogini is a female kind of wrathful manifestation of compassion as well, as I was talking about Dorje Drolo. And that's just me in the Vajrayogini. And then we sat there, and there was this beautiful nun just talking about the place and the teachings and places to go. She was just offering herself to whoever came in there, and she really enjoyed it too, so she was fully present with everybody. It was quite beautiful. We experienced a lot of that actually while we were in Kathmandu. And then, more steps. So we're going from Vajrayogini to the Asura cave, which is the second Padmasambhava cave. And this is going into the Asura cave. And some of these spots were kind of busy, just lots of pilgrims going there. And you give offerings, like you do butter lamps or money, and really. And so outside, up on this rock here, is the handprint of Padmasambhava. And you can see Michelle's hand fits perfectly into Padmasambhava's hand. So it was either Padmasambhava that left it or a past manifestation of Michelle. I'm not quite sure yet. And then this is me doing it. And the reason why I'm laughing so much here is because I come out, right? And I'm a little bit of a jokester. And I put my hand up there, okay? And I've got it up on the wall. And there's all these nuns standing in front of me. So with my hand up on the wall, I just went, like that, And they thought something was coming through the wall into my hand, into my body. And I was just kind of vibrating. And one of them just kind of went, like that, And then afterwards, everybody laughed. And it was, it was a little bit of fun. This is the outside of the cave right here. It's just a beautiful, beautiful location, beautiful spot. And it's kind of like a network all around there of different kind of monasteries. And then this is another Mani stone. And this has the symbol Hum on it. And Hum is enlightened mind. So even sometimes by saying like that, Hum, kind of just empties your mind for a second. And it's not like that it empties it. It's more like that it opens, you experience sky-like mind, so you're not caught up in the clouds. and the storms of thoughts and emotions, that it's just kind of this open, vast, all accommodating mind. And just a flower that was on the wall. It's called a purple heart. Actually, I looked it up on Google Lens. And then this is the third Padmasambhava cave. And here, like, Padmasambhava must have like doing like some mountain climbing, because this is his footprints and they're on the side of the wall going up the wall. So I was kind of wondering what he was doing there, but Michelle and I were in another cave of Padmasambhava's in Riwalsar, or So Pema, in the Kulu Valley in India. And his footprint was up on the side of the wall there too. So he definitely was a bit of a mountain climber. So this is below the caves. And this is called the self-arising Tara. So it's Tara, who's like a female deity, that exemplifies like love and compassion, and has different colors too. So a lot to do with health and longevity. But this image here every year comes out of the rock more and more and more. So like one way of describing that is it's a miracle. It's an unexplained phenomena, that's for sure. And there's people that go watch it, like see it regularly, and they say it definitely comes out more and more, And then just another picture, like Nirvana. I love this one. The gates of Nirvana are open, but it's just like another school for kids. And I don't know how that got in there. And then in the middle, this is Tara again down here. It's just a, more vast image of the area around it. And in the middle is Ganesh. So Ganesh is a Hindu god, the elephant. And Ganesh comes out more and more every year too. So it's really interesting. But like there's people like that say that we talked to that said they saw it like a year or two ago and it wasn't near as pronounced, And then that was a step count one day, 17,000 steps. Oops. And then just another panoramic of the shrine room. So we're back up on the next retreat. And the retreats went 4 days, 4 days, and then 2 days, I think. So we had 10 days altogether of retreats with a couple of days off in between. And that's like a true panoramic shot of the shrine room from one door on one side to one door on the other. Then you can see the door on the other side over there. And Rinpoche teaching. And that's called a Dharma Ru and a bell. And they're just practice implements. And this is Rinpoche giving a blessing. So this was the Dorje Drolo blessing. And when he does that, he kind of puts on this lineage hat. And then he has a bell and a dorje. And the dorje is it symbolizes the indestructible quality of our awareness. So awareness, they say you can't smash it, you can't burn it, you can't blow it up, awareness is just always there. And Rinpoche, I think, blessing one of his monks and passing off an implement as well. And then he just like, he had 700 people like in a go, like come up, and every single person he connects with, like smiles at. And then this was the text, or the Dharma, as Michelle described earlier on. The word Dharma just means truth, and it's the teachings that the Buddha left us, and it's just the truth of, our true nature, you could say it, or the nature of reality, which are both the same. And I asked Rinpoche about this. I said to him in the small talk, I said, do you like dream at night, like about tapping people on the head with this Dharma text? And he said, sometimes, yeah. It was great. And then that's just another picture from our bedroom window. It's just a clearer night, I think, that night. It's just beautiful, all lit up at Swayambhu. And this is part of the meditation teacher training program that I've been a part of over the last year. I'm going to hopefully graduate here in the middle of August. I put some familiar faces like Scott, who's a Tergar facilitator, and Stephanie Wagner right there. But just a beautiful group of people. And we're about to have lunch with Rinpoche. And after we had lunch, he invited us into a room to ask, lunch was small talk, no practice questions, no questions about your meditation practice, just like, hey, what do you think about the weather, and stuff like that. And then we could go in and ask him practice questions. And in this situation, I asked him, could AI become enlightened? And his answer was maybe, because consciousness can reside like anywhere. He said through spontaneous birth. It was a particular teaching that he had mentioned. And then just a picture of myself and my mentor, Kunzan La. And then some more of the meditation teacher training program people. And that's Michelle. It's kind of blurry, but it was in the lunch line, and it's a cute photograph of her. And then this is a typical lunch at the monastery. They fed us lunch and dinner every day, everybody. So from 500 to 700 people. And Rinpoche ate with us too, he would eat with the general. And this is where Michelle and this is a real small lunchroom because it's the silent one. And this is where we ate lunch every day. And you go into the main dining room and it was real noisy in here. Most of the time it was quiet. Sometimes there was a little conversation going on. And just another picture of the main shrine room there. And then some of the birds we saw while we were there. So a crow, but it had like a gray head, rock pigeon, which we have here, and then the bulbuls and and the black kites. There was lots of them at the monastery. I was trying to see and we had these parakeets and cuckoo. In one of the videos you can hear a cuckoo. And then just another picture of Michelle and I at that Buddha park that I showed earlier on. More MT people. That's Martha from Wisconsin, and Chris is from Woodstock, New York. And then the monks, at the monastery, they practiced every day, I don't know, 2-3 times a day too, and you could go in and sit with them while they were practicing. So it was just to give you an idea of the full gamut of audio and visual experiences you could have while you were walking around the monastery, between the dogs barking and the monks debating and then practicing, and then more MTP people right there. And then this is one of my favorite pictures. Rinpoche. I was being kind of, lighthearted. And then a more serious picture of us all together. That was just delightful. Everybody there could get it. That's nothing special about that. Everybody at that retreat could get a photograph. That's how much energy Rinpoche had. He, literally, he had groups of like 30 or 40 people like all day long that you could go in and have a Q&A session with him and then have photographs afterwards. And like during that session, I think like there was a guy there who had like 20, 30 books in a bag, and he just kept on taking out books and books and books. And Rinpoche, fully aware, fully present, signed every single one of them. And after the 2 big piles of books, and the guy takes out a 3rd big pile of books, Rinpoche said, "How wonderful." It was delightful to see. Well, this is one of my favorite photographs there. But Michelle told me that this lady was Annie Cholin, who's a famous Nepalese singer. And I really wanted a photograph with Annie Cholin. So I asked her, could I have a photograph taken with her? And it wasn't Annie Cholin. But anyway, it's a lovely photograph. And then a couple of more, you know, like Edwin, Mioshin and Edwin. Edwin said it was the most diverse Tergar retreat that he'd ever been to. Like there was literally people from every corner of the planet, you know, but these were a couple of lovely ladies that I was in a small discussion group with, and they were from San Francisco. And I was really inspired because their whole family like practices meditation in the Tergar community, you know. And just like their mom and dad and their brothers and sisters and uncles, aunts, everybody does. It's awesome. And then just a night shot from the monastery there. This is Annie, this is the real Annie Cholin singing here. So you can... And before this, she actually sung with Rinpoche. And then everybody held up their phones with their lights on, kind of like we had candles. And what she's singing is Om Mani Padme Hum, that, you know, relieving us from the 6 afflictive states of mind.
This was the most beautiful part. It's the very end of all the retreats, or the Dorje Drolid retreat. It was the most beautiful thing ever.
She's saying louder. There's Michelle. This lady, Annie Cholin, is very famous, like, in this part of the world. And the dogs. Now we're back in the traffic again. What a contrast of that just pure serenity and beauty and connection and community, and mayhem. But the mayhem is orderly chaos. You look at, like, there's nobody bumping into each other. Everybody's kind of dancing around each other. And it all works quite well, you know. It's quite amazing. Now this is Bodhnath Stupa. So Bodhnath Stupa, when I think of Bodhnath Stupa, I think the center of the universe. So this is the largest stupa in the whole entire world, and it's kind of the central point in Kathmandu. When Mingyur Rinpoche was on his 4.5-year retreat, Lama Tashi ran into him walking around this stupa. And it's just, it's beautiful all around there. It's got all these little shops and restaurants and gift stores, Tonka painters, and you always bump into, it's strange, like nearly every time we went there, we'd bump into somebody we knew, like, you know. And that's Michelle and I with the Buddha's eyes in the background. And then just like, these were a couple of flowers at a little Buddha park that was close by. I just thought they were beautiful. And then this is Padmasambhava again, so the caves that we were at. And this is like more traditional statue of Padmasambhava. And I think this was called the Buddha Peace Park, and it's right by that main stupa. And then like little stupas everywhere in Padmasambhava. And then this is Trenggu Rinpoche's monastery. And unfortunately, Trenggu Rinpoche was one of the most influential Mahamudra teachers of our time, and he passed away fairly recently. So we went to pay respects at his monastery. And the doors were locked, and the first time we were in Kathmandu, the doors were locked and they stayed locked. This time we were in Kathmandu, the doors were locked and they opened. It was such a different contrast. So somebody would come and go, we're at lunch, but here, I'll unlock the door for you and go in and sit and meditate. You know, it was just really beautiful. And then afterwards we went to Sechen Monastery, where Matthew Ricard, and the abbot of this monastery is Mingyur Rinpoche's nephew. So it's...
the movie we saw, Brilliant Moon.
Yeah.
A couple months ago. This is his monastery. So this is Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche's monastery from the Brilliant Moon movie.
And his reincarnation, so in the Tulku system they have reincarnations. Generally in Buddhism it's rebirth, but the one place where they actually say reincarnation is Tulku. So his reincarnation is Yangtze Rinpoche, and that is Mingyur Rinpoche's oldest brother's son. And that's the connection to this lineage. And it's the largest monastery in Kathmandu. And then this is just some of the detail inside. Like they have several of these shrine rooms in there, and different ones. But this is a Padmasambhava one. So, and there's Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche right there. But just to show you the detail of, you know, it was, some of this just mind-blowing. It's like, you know, so much stimuli and like little details all over the place. And, you know, protectors, that would be like, I think that's Mahakala, so the great protector. And, when you see two deities together like that, that's just to exemplify that we're all both masculine and feminine. So that we're made of both, you know, that we're not one or the other. We all have wisdom and we all have compassion. You could say it like that way. And this is the very last one that I go to here is Dorje Drolo. So from the second retreat. So that's an image of Dorje Drolo. It's just kind of, yeah, holding a purba and a dorje. How am I doing time-wise? There's a still dorje drill. And like, so this here. Oh, wow. Which mandala?
Yes, this is stupa, small stupa.
So you can't really hear what I'm saying there, but I'm talking to a monk, and he said that Nangkyi Rinpoche built that little. It's a mandala. He called it a stupa, but it's a three-dimensional mandala. And I was asking him which practice. There's different mandalas for different practices. I was asking him which practice was the mandala belonging to, and I just don't think he understood me. And there's Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche again. And his remains are actually kept in this room, you know. So you can actually feel, when you walk into the room and you can feel his essence in there. And then like, so, you know, each year Tergar, like the Buddhist side of Tergar, does an immersion, and the past year was called Ganges of Mahamudra. And it was a teaching that Tilopa gave Naropa. So this is a cave where Tilopa meditated in Kathmandu. And we got to go into that, and there's a picture of us inside. And then Naropa meditated, like, you know, right next to him. They're both side by side with each other. And we got to go in that one too. And then this is the way to-ish right there, and this is like a cremation site, is what it is, or burning ghats, as they call it in the Hindu tradition. And we didn't, you know, like there's people there, like the person that we was with wanted to sit and kind of watch, and I said, unless you're going to sit here and meditate and practice, I'm not going to be a tourist here. You know, and, you know, and we left, you know, we just passed through that area to go to the caves, but I wanted to be extremely respectful of the people there and the loss that they were experiencing, and the, you know, the preciousness of the ceremony that they were going through as well, and not be a tourist while that was going on. And then these are a couple of sages that are hanging out, and they like to get their photograph taken with you. And then that's just like some art that was drawn on one of the walls. I thought it was really cool. And then this is a nunnery dish that we went to this restaurant close by, and it was off the beaten track, and it was just locals there. And the nunnery are the like ancient people of Nepal. I don't know how far they go back, but I think it's thousands of years. And these like beans were hard, like not cooked. And then the oats are just stamped. And yeah, it was like, it was different, you know. I'm glad we went and had it, but you know, I wouldn't be ordering it again. So this is our favorite restaurant, you know, and this was the last day we were there, and there were, so this is Ning Da, so, and Ning Ma. And what is Ning Da, something moon?
Ning Da is sun and moon.
Oh, sun and moon, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So you know, Ning Ma's wife, she's the sun, and Ning Da's husband, he's the moon, so sun and moon. And it's quite beautiful because we actually got this card with a sun and moon on it. Michelle's wearing the calligraphy right now, and we had it blessed by Rinpoche, and we gave it to them as a gift, and they really enjoyed it. And but anyway, like this, the last day that we spent with them, they gave us katas, they gave us a blessing and everything. It was just beautiful. We just loved going there, you know.
They were the nicest people.
We loved them. We
Yeah,
really,
I mean,
really
yeah.
loved them. Yeah. And we took everybody we could there to them. You know, we're like, come to this little hole in the wall because it's so precious, you know. And these just a couple of wonderful Tibetan ladies at Bodhnath Stupa. And there's a kind of more panoramic view of Bodhnath Stupa. So it's just a massive complex. You can see there why we call it the center of the universe. And we actually in our kitchen, we have a little shrine, a kitchen shrine we call it. And we have a bag of the remnants from this stupa because it was heavily damaged in the 2015 earthquakes as well. And we went up there and somebody just handed and said, here's some of the stupa in a bag, like, here you go, you know. And we didn't really want it, but like, then we said, hey, that'd be kind of nice, you know. They insisted that we take this bag of dirt with us. And now it has a place of honor, you know. It's strange the way things like that happen. And then this is just circumambulating. It's 5 minutes, so I'm going to kind of speed through it a little bit. But I walk around the whole thing just to give you an idea. You know, it's just a beautiful, like, and you're just with all these other people, and really, like, everybody has a kind of mindset, I think, or at least I like to think so, of just like peace and well-being for the world, you know. But it's such a central place as well. Like, it's a place where people go and they meet, and the shops all the way around it. But yeah, I see him getting pretty short on time, so I just wanted to. Oh, and this, yeah, I got a bit. There's a bodhisattva in training.
There's prayer wheels all the way around it, and so people are spinning the prayer wheels as they walk around.
And then after this is like, Michelle calls this place like paradise. But oh, you can hear the cuckoos in the background here. But this place is called Kopan Monastery, and our taxi man dropped us off at the back of the mountain and said, there, you climb up, you know. And so off we went. We were like, we kind of said, no, drive us to the monastery. And he's like, this is the way you go. And there was a local guy there, and I said, can we go to the monastery this way? And he said, yeah. And we said, you know, it's just part of the experience, you know. And it was beautiful walk up there at the side of this hill. And this place, the ornateness of there's no stupas anywhere like this, like the detail in that and the ornateness of it. And it's just, that's another one. This is at a high point right there at the top of a hill. And it's kind of looking down on the, I think that's Lama Yeshe. For people that might know, that's his stupa. And then right by it, right here, is Lama Zopa Rinpoche, who passed away recently. And he was Kondra La, like the Tibetan oracle, who advised Rinpoche this year that he shouldn't travel, you know. But she's quite wonderful. But her teacher passed away recently as well, and they're building a stupa to commemorate him. And then this is looking from Kopan Monastery back down into Kathmandu at Bodhnath Stupa. And then, you know, another just breathtaking shrine room, just absolutely gorgeous in there. And strangely enough, these people here were a part of the retreat at Tergar as well, so we kind of connected with them. And then this monk, and you know, again, the doors were closed the last time we were there, but they were open. And we asked, like, Lama Zopa, his body is still there, you know, and we asked to go pay respects to his, you know, to his essence, you know. And he said, yeah, and just like go up this spiral stairs up to the roof, and, you know, over in the corner there's a room, and go in there, and, you know, and it was like, it was quite precious. And I think a lot of, you know, I'm reading into traditions a little bit, but some Asian people now wouldn't think that's a good idea. You know, it's like once somebody's passed on, they're gone, you know, so they weren't interested in going. But you know, for us, it's just to kind of thank you for the benefit that we've received from your teachings, because I've read a lot of Lama Zopa's books, and that's just another selfie of us. And it did actually rain a little bit. And then this is Lama Zopa's pagoda, I guess you would call it. So like sometimes when famous lama or meditation master passes away, they put him in a glass box, and they're still kind of meditating in the box. And yeah, so that's kind of like that. I won't say much more. And that was Lama Zopa Rinpoche. And that's looking down into the shrine room. Oh, and this is a picture at the end of the Dorje Drolo. And that is me, and there's Michelle right there. But like I think like 600 or 700 of us in the photograph. And then I think we're getting close to the end here. So, but more prayer flags. This is the main stairway going up to Swayambhu Stupa. And there's George. And some of you, he's the mentor for Tergar St. Augustine. And then Cortland Dahl, and he's coming to have a talk with us about a new book that he's coming out with, and that'll be in September. And that's a precious thing, because Cortland's pretty busy. And then this day was the clearest day. I think this was the second last day that we were there, and we could actually see green hills around the monastery rather than the haze. And that's another shot right there. You can actually see. Sometimes you just can't see anything out there, it's just all kind of white. And just another lovely picture of Rinpoche. And then more monkeys, because, everybody loves monkeys. Just don't get scratched by them. And that's Michelle and I. And this was on our last day. So, and we flew out at 9 o'clock at night. And Swayambhu Stupa was right by us. So we said, hey, what do you do before you get on an airplane? You go climb up 350 steps again. Or 365, I think it is. And then that's a picture again of Tergar Osel Ling from the Swayambhu Stupa. And then here we are. I can't believe I've got through all these photographs. This is unbelievable. I mean, and look at the time, it's nearly timed perfectly. But this is Kathmandu Airport on the way out. And then I took a picture right out the window, and it was a full moon as we were leaving. So that was the last picture I had to share. All right. And there's a few minutes, like we've got we've got a few minutes left. So if anybody has any questions or anything, but that was 200 photographs and videos right there that we just went through.
Mark, it's Deborah. I wanted to thank you for the video of the yeshiva boys.
Oh, you're very welcome. Oh, Jane.
Yes. Wow, amazing. This is transformative to see what you two went through there. And I'm curious about the debating that the monks do. What is the workflow on that? Like, is the monk standing the one who is speaking, and then the one sitting listens? And then when it's like passing the talking stick, and then they switch places, and the one standing again talks? Or how does that work? Can you tell us?
They were preparing for, it's kind of like they get tested on it, and they were preparing for a test that they had in like maybe 3 days later or so. And yeah, the one who's standing, he's the one who's teaching, and he's trying, and when he drives a point, he does this to them. It's like,
Yeah.
driving the point home.
Yeah. Wow.
And yeah, so they were practicing for their debate test that was in a few days down the line. And the one that's sitting and they try and stump. One that's sitting is trying to stump the guy who's driving the home. Asks him a question, and he's, So it was really great. Every night they would come. Every night you'd hear them come out. And one night Rinpoche was teaching. He's looking at at Kempo Girme. He's like, what is that? And he's like, they're debating, they're practicing for the debate. And he goes, oh, and he goes, and then to us, he was like, did you hear the monks fighting? He's fighting to us. It's like the monks are fighting.
Oh,
That's
that's beautiful.
To add to that, like this is the style that Kempo Girme was teaching us. So what he does is like come up with a philosophical point, like mind is emptiness, and then they're defending that point against different points of view. And you can go, well, mine's not emptiness, I'm thinking all the time, or, you know, mine's not emptiness because, you know, I can, like, it's in there somewhere, you know, like, and then the other, you know, the person defending the philosophical point of view would then come back with reasoning why, you know, to back up his initial teaching point. It's like quite amazing actually, because it really, like they don't just know something from a book, they really kind of embody it this way, you know, and then they memorize text that way too. But yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh, it must have been fascinating to listen to that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Nick?
Did you get to see Kempo Kunga? And if so, how is he doing?
Like I had heard that he was spotted periodically in the past, but he hasn't been seen in quite a while. So we knew exactly where he was. Like he's on the top floor of the Sangha house, and which is a newly built structure right beside the monastery. It's actually quite gorgeous and very modern. But he's on the top floor of that. But he's just, everything has been delivered to his room and he's just in there practicing day and night. And he's halfway through, to give you a timeline. So he's a year and a half into his 3-year retreat.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Nick. Oh, Naomi.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Every time I learn more about the culture and I'm not really in the tourist view, you know, it's an inside view, which I really have enjoyed. Fantastic.
Oh, good. I'm glad you got a feel of it that way. That was my intention, you know, was just like, I mean, the Joy of Living teachings are, there is no need for anything else. Like there isn't. But in order, you know, for Rinpoche to be able to teach us these Joy of Living teachings, he's got this really deep and profound background that he comes from, and his wisdom just kind of percolates out of that. And that's kind of what I wanted to give you a little bit of a window into tonight. And hello, Helena from London. Good to see you.
And
Helena,
you. It was so lovely. I'm so glad I stayed up late to see this. As you know, I was planning to go to Nepal, but I cancelled at the last minute. So it's just been a real delight to see all these pictures. And I mean, my heart was so warm seeing the picture of you with Kunsang, you know, in real life. And my very, very dear friend Anya.
Oh,
you know,
yes.
We went to medical school together, so it was just so lovely.
Beautiful.
She was sending me pictures through the retreat, and yeah, this was really special. Thank you.
Oh, you're very well. I'm delighted you could come, you know, I really am.
Very late here, but it was worth it.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. And Susan?
Yeah, there we go. Hi, it's
Hello.
Susan from Mexico.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you so much for the presentation. And I wanted to say hi to Lorelei, and I just wanted to let you know, lean this way so we can see. Yeah. Your friend, Rosie Wright, Rosalie Wright from New Mexico. You helped me buy a car in Denver, Colorado, a long time ago but I was part of the I am part of the Shambhala.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and you know, I comment a lot on your posts on Facebook. But Susan and I met so just fortuitously and through another friend, and she said, "Hey, you know, we're going to be watching Mark and Michelle showing their trip, you know, to Kathmandu," and I gotta go see them, and because I see so much of you on Facebook. So anyway, I'm very, very happy. I thought, what are the odds of meeting somebody who's from St. Augustine? I used to live in Michigan and then Colorado, and now here with So anyway, I just want to say thank you for this wonderful, wonderful presentation, because it took us right inside. It was just outstanding. So thanks.
Oh, I'm so delighted you could join, and it's beautiful to make this connection here too, Rosalie.
It's amazing to me.
Susan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anne Louise?
I was just wondering where Susan is in Mexico, because I used to live in Mexico.
Oh, New Mexico, I think.
New Mexico. Okay, I thought you said Mexico. So anyway, thank you so much. I love the presentation.
Anne Louise.
Thank
Beautiful
you.
to see you here too. Okay, we're a couple of minutes past 8, but if anybody else has any, you know, like, I'm happy to hang out a couple extra minutes, but if you have to leave, you know, I completely understand as well.
Just a huge wow and a huge thank you, Michelle and Mark. What a wonderful trip you took us on. That's an astounding tradition and an amazing place. It's mind-blowing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're so welcome, Dave. Yeah. I was really looking forward to this. You know, I was excited and I was looking forward to it because, you know, there's one thing having the experience, but there's another thing sharing it. You know, like it's delightful to share. Yeah. I think that's like the part of the meditation teacher training program that we're in is not that it's not that we're learning to be teachers. We're learning to share, you know, what we've experienced through our meditation path, you know, it's really kind of beautiful that way. You know, there isn't this student teacher thing. It's that we're all together here and we're all on this journey together, you know, and, you know, it's just beautiful when we connect with each other and we share with each other. Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
My name is Lucy. I have a question about all the stupas. What happened after the earthquake? Were these rebuilt, these stupas?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like, I mean, you know, when Michelle and I were in there in 2016, there was all these like tent villages all over Kathmandu, and a lot of the structures like in Sechin Monastery, that was all roped off. A lot of these places were like destroyed or structurally unstable and you couldn't go into them. You know, so they've rebuilt, like, you know, the city has expanded since then. So it's modernized a lot. There was just dirt roads with like huge ruts, and it was very uncomfortable to drive around in 2000. Like going out to Parping, it was just ferocious on my back. It was just bang, 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 and the roads were all rutted out. This time it was smooth. It was brand new roads, and then like looking at all the new electric cars was just delightful. And so there's an element of it becoming, you know, more modern, and then it's building out a lot too. So it's building out into the foothills, and you know, just like anywhere else, there's big fancy houses, and but there's a lot of apartment buildings. But yeah, it's like literally being rebuilt.
We're on. Mark, I wanted to ask what funds, you know, what pays for these, for all of that rebuilding, and is it government of Nepal? Is it
I'd say most of it was private, actually. The government really doesn't have, like from what you hear there, and I don't want to read into it too much because I'm not an expert on it by any means, but I'd say a lot of it is private funds that did that building. I believe the government doesn't have a whole lot of resources there. Though taxation is really like to import a car into Nepal, the tax on it's like 300%. So like in India, a car will cost 10,000, and in Kathmandu it'll cost 30,000. They're very expensive. Like those little Suzukis that we're in, when they're new, they're 25,000 US dollars. Like, you know, and in India you can buy one for $7,000. I looked it up actually out of curiosity, and then you can buy an electric car for like 30,000. So, and then pretty much never have to pay for fuel again. So economically, it just kind of makes sense. But yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay. Well, I guess we can call it an evening then, but it's just been delightful. It just warms my heart that that everybody came tonight and just joined in with sharing our journey. And yeah, hopefully you get some of the blessings of the trip as well, because it really, if anything else, you know, I was saying last night, like I was in a small discussion group, I said I didn't leave with any kind of profound teachings from Kathmandu. I don't have like this wisdom that I learned there. I haven't reached new levels of consciousness after being there. But what I did experience there was awareness and connection. I just was very aware with the people that I was around. And I think that was due to Rinpoche's influence. And everybody was like more aware of each other than we are in our normal, busy, everyday lives. And that gave us deep connections. You know, and it was like you connected with people in a few minutes, like you'd known them all your life, you know, and you, there was like true love in that connection. That's another thing I have to say. Like it was just an actual experience of people collectively getting together and sharing love for each other. And, you know, people would have tears in their eyes and they'd be like, this is how the world's problems are solved. You know, like if we can just sit here and acknowledge each other and our worth, you know, that you're valuable to me. You know, I don't know you and you're from a country that I don't know anything about and you speak a language that I can't speak, but I appreciate that you're here and I value you as a human being. And we just, those connections happened over and over again with the people that were there, and it's hard to describe that, but that's what I was left with, a feeling, an experience. Not, I didn't pick anything intellectual or knowledge-wise up, but I had this experience and I had this connection and just this feeling that was quite beautiful. Yeah. Any final words, Michelle? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say one of the most beautiful things was that there were people there from all over the world. So you know, there's a guy in front of me, he's from Norway. The girl next to me was from Thailand. There was another lady from Nepal there. There's 2 Chinese men over here by the side of me. We were all from all over the place. And when you're singing, when you're chanting these chants that we have, you know, we chant 2 times in Tibet and the 3rd time in your own language. And I was chanting in English and this guy next to me was chanting in Chinese. And it was just like, it just warmed my heart. It was just amazing. And it was really heartwarming experience being there and seeing that. And being in Rinpoche's presence is always a big plus.
Video, the singing video on Mane Padme Hum, that was absolutely beautiful. I mean, I can't imagine what it felt like to be there because I could feel it here, you know.
Yeah, Lorelei? Oh, sorry.
You're on mute, Michelle.
Oh, I was just saying that was so, like, I was in tears. I had tears coming down my eyes when she started singing that. It was so beautiful. And then the whole room singing that.
Louder and louder. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
And right before that, like, it was Annie Cholin and Mingyur Rinpoche singing together. And I just, like, with this, you know, I packed everything in an hour and a half and I left that one out. But, you know, they were some of the difficult choices. Yeah.
Please send that to me privately.
Yeah, I will, definitely. And Lorelei, did you?
Yes, I did that retreat online and I was watching for you guys the whole 3 days, 4 days, I'm not sure. And I finally saw you one of the days. It's like, there they are. They were walking right past the camera. So I did see you, but and it's really true that end was just amazingly beautiful with her voice. I mean, they were hearing everybody. I mean, I had tears because her voice is just amazing. I've got a couple of her CDs, and I think she was one of Mingyur Rinpoche's father's nurses when he was passing.
Oh, yes.
I think I've heard that when she was a young man. Did you hear that too?
Yeah, Annie Cholin went to Nagi Gompa. She was one of the nuns from Nagi Gompa. So yeah, thank you for that connection, Lorelei. I wasn't thinking of that. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I was so excited to see you guys, but I almost forgot that I had seen you.
We were hiding. We were hiding from the cameras.
We're hiding. It was a beautiful presentation. Thank you guys so much for sharing this.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much. Good night.
Good night. Take care. Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
You all.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Michelle. And Mark. It was wonderful.
Thank you, Mark and Michelle. It was beautiful. It felt like I was there with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Darby.
Oh.